Am I the a-hole for calling my dad out for saying mom would have loved his wife / would have been happy for them as a couple? My mom died when I was 16 male. 3 years later, dad started dating the one woman my mom hated most in the world. They had a beef going on since childhood, and then when they worked together, it continued. Mom used to say how much she hated her, how she'd be glad when she no longer have to have her in her life. She said she was the worst person ever. It used to be a joke with my dad and mom's family that mom would hunt her if mom was the first of the two of them to die. Everyone knew the feeling was mutual between them though. So much that people they worked with did everything so they never had to work together. Their boss almost fired my dad's current wife back in the day for her unprofessional behavior. Dad fell in love with her though, and ever since has been determined to paint a different picture. It turned my mom's family against him, who hated him for his choice of partner after mom. They said if he expects to reunite with mom in death, then he has another thing coming, because she would never forgive him for choosing her, his current wife. His choice of wife bothers me too, as well as how he talks about her and my mom. He has talked endlessly about how mom would have loved his wife, or how happy she would be for them. Once, he even said she sent his wife to us when I have kids. They can have a grandma. My fiancé and I were having dinner with my dad and her parents. Dad's wife was there too. Dad started off on his BS about this, and I called him out and reminded him that mom hated her, and that the feeling was very much mutual while she was alive, that he had a right to move on, but to stop painting a pretty picture. He told me that I had done that to hurt him and that he didn't need my judgment. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad is attempting to gaslight everyone around him so he doesn't have to feel bad about his choice and partner. The other side of the situation is, he doesn't have to feel bad. He waited an appropriate amount of time after the loss of his first wife and then found love. It doesn't really matter who with. He does not require his late wife's approval or your approval. He's an adult, you're an adult, and he has every right to be happy. Right, be with who you want to be, but stop spinning BS yarn about destiny, or that your late partner sent you to one person they absolutely despised so you can be happy again. If I was Opie's wife, I would be resurrecting myself instantaneously to come after them. LMAO. Like, fine, if you fell in love, whatever, but don't be telling lies about me because I'm not there to defend myself. Not the a-hole. He can marry who he wants, but he doesn't get to 1. Fabricate the past, 2. Demand you play along, and 3. Not face the consequences of lying so blatantly to the point he's seriously repulsing people. I'd respect him more if he had acknowledged the true history between the two women, admitted he liked his new wife despite this, and stopped trying this frankly Orwellian crap. Frankly, I'd go very low contact with the man, because he's going to try to brainwash any future kids with his fantasy Lala version. Seriously, I'm petty, but I would have asked him, how does it feel to know your wife married you to get revenge on a dead woman? I also wouldn't want him near my kids, so his outlandish suggestion that she would be their grandparents would definitely send me to low contact territory. It's not judgment, Dad. It's a fact. I'm happy you're happy, but stop trying to make it something it's not. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Basically came here to say this. It's great he's happy again, but that doesn't negate the other factors in the situation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for intentionally drinking at family events so I'm not forced to babysit? I, 30 male, I'm the only one of my siblings without children. This is a personal choice for many reasons I won't get into. My parents live with my sister who is 9 years older and has 2 kids I see often. However, my brother, 2 years older, has a young girl and 2 little boys. All 3 are likely on the spectrum, but my brother and his wife refuse to check through a doctor. They're also homeschooled in a very rural area, and I don't get to see my brother and his family very often, maybe once a year. Every time I do spend time with my brother and his family, it never fails that he finds a way to dump his 3 kids on me, who may have special needs, the second he can, so him and his wife can disappear from the kids' area. I really only see my brother's family during large family events. The kids usually have their own separate area to play and eat, away from the adults smoking cigarettes and drinking, etc., so they can socialize and let loose, so to speak. My brother's 3 kids don't leave the house very much, almost never, as they live on a big farm. So when they go to these kinds of events, they're over the top excited and harder to manage. And one is nonverbal but constantly walks around looking to play with literally deadly things. So needless to say, I'm not qualified or even capable to watch my brother's 3 kids by myself as well as what they need. Plus, their cousins, my sister's kids, also want to spend time with their cousins. So I'm sitting there by myself watching 5 kids aged 4 to 8 by myself. 3 of which may have special needs. 1 is a freaking monster. And because I'm the cool uncle, I gave them a Nintendo Switch for my own peace of mind. My brother assumes every time that I'll just watch his kids. It's gotten so blatant on my brother's end that lately at family events, my brother will give me a physical paper list of parental duties, a backpack with stuff for the kids, then turn his phone off in front of me, then walk away after dumping his kids on me. I go to these family events to spend time with my whole family, not to be an isolated babysitter. I love my nieces and nephews, but this is one of the reasons I didn't have children in my 20s. Family events are just as important to me as other parents there, and they can manage to watch their own kids. But my brother always finds a way to ditch me with his kids. Then ultimately my sister's kids join in too. I don't go to these family events to be a babysitter, so I've just started drinking a bit before I show up and drink a little bit consistently enough to safely say I shouldn't have 5 small children in my care. Since these times are really the only times my brother sees me, he thinks I'm a drunk and spreading rumors as such. Not at all, but laugh at your solution instead of just confronting them. You can do whatever you want at family parties because you don't have kids. I would maybe tell him that you're not available to babysit at parties and he should plan accordingly. I've definitely talked to them. Lol, they act like martyrs because they procreated. I hate people like that. Like, just because you brought these kids into this world doesn't mean you have any extra privileges. Go take care of your spawn. Parents always seem to forget all the rewards of being a parent has the second they're slightly inconvenienced. Not the a-hole. This is just your brother using you without any thought to you as a person. Get your drink on. Your other family members that actually care will ask you if you're an alcoholic. You can be honest with them. The ones that just accept the rumors, well, that tells you their opinion of you. I have one aunt who tells me I should join AA, but she only has the nerve to tell me that while she's also been drinking. Haha. Not the a-hole, but that's probably not the best way to deal with this. Drinking and allowing others to assume you're a drunk is ridiculous. Get into conversations and then say you can't simply leave the chat and look after the kids. Or start cooking something so that you can't abandon the stove or the pan for too long. Honestly, there's no point being honest in these situations because they will probably only get selfishly offended. But perhaps you don't want to be drunk every time you meet your family. Trust me, this was far from my first solution. I even tried bringing friends, and my brother still finds a way to corner me. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for screaming at my husband and daughter because I didn't clean the house? So I, 37 female, have a husband, 38 male, and a daughter, Ellie, 17 female. I won't specify exactly what my job is because it's not relevant to this situation. But long story short, I was offered some extra training from my workplace in order to gain higher qualifications and therefore go onto a higher paid ranking in the business. This training was a week long, which isn't much. However, it was about 6 hours drive from where I live, which meant I had to book a hotel and stay there for a week. I asked my husband if he could look after Ellie for the week. He agreed happily, and that was that. Now, I'm not exactly a perfectionist, and our house is by no means pristine. However, I do like to make sure it is clean and keep it at least somewhat tidy and presentable. I clean surfaces, toilets, floors, etc. regularly. However, there can be a little mess about a place, which is not unusual. Walking through the front door to my house after that training week absolutely horrified me. We have 2 cats and they are litter trained. The litter was full with cat poo and it stank the house out. Neither my husband nor my daughter, both able-bodied people, had bothered to take care of the cat litter. There were dirty dishes piling up everywhere in the kitchen and they smelled bad too. There were muddy footprints on the carpet, food smushed onto the sofa. The house was just a complete mess. After a week of work training for 15 hours each day, I did not have it in me to get angry in that moment. I just sat on the filthy sofa and cried. Then my daughter and husband came down the stairs, complaining that I hadn't immediately started washing the dishes as soon as I came through the door, so they could make food and drink. At this point, I was really started to see red. What made me lose my temper completely was when my husband said I was ungrateful for him giving up his time to look after Ellie all day. I lost it. I screamed at my husband saying that he has no right to expect me to be grateful. when he left the house that I paid for in such a disgusting state. I then said that Ellie's a 17-year-old girl who can look after herself for the majority of the time, which meant he was completely over-exaggerating the extent of how much time he gave up. I then said to both of them that if they are going to treat me like this, they can just leave and go somewhere else and live like tramps elsewhere. My husband took Ellie and left. I don't know where they are now. My guess is that they went to my husband's parents' house. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You need to take a video of the house before they come home. Get evidence as to what state the house is in. I honestly would pack my items back up. Get a hotel for 2 more nights and tell them that if the house isn't to at least the standard it was in which you left, consequences would follow, especially to your husband. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry that your family is such a jerk to you. P.S. Your poor cats. Your husband and daughter care so little for your pets that they forced them to go outside a box? This is incredibly stressful and cruel. Please make sure you remember this detail especially. They walked past these animals every day and didn't care that they were hurting them. And send the video to anyone who yells at you after believing your husband's lies. Not the a-hole. You weren't even there. How would it be your responsibility to clean up the mess they made? And your husband is not doing you a special favor by looking after his own daughter. He is a parent. That is what parents do. Even if she were little and required a lot of his time and attention, he would not have given up time to help you out. He would have been simply a father. They take you for granted for all the cleaning you do, obviously. I would not want them to come home until you've all talked this through, and they understand why they behaved like ungrateful a-holes. And also, they need to clean the house. Maybe you should go to a hotel till they have cleaned the place up, actually. A few people have suggested me going to a hotel and waiting for them to clean up. I completely agree, and I wish I had thought of that in the moment. However, I was so angry I wasn't really thinking properly. I still might do it though, if that's what it takes. OP, you absolutely should. That is awful how your daughter and husband treated you and let the house get. He wasn't babysitting. She isn't 1, she is 17. They should be able to empty litter boxes and wash dishes. It isn't like they had to deep clean. Just not make a mess for a week. That isn't hard. Let this be a huge wake-up call to you. You haven't let them get away with you doing everything. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling a fellow mother of a special needs child that my daughter is not responsible for her child? I have 2 children who we'll call Maria, 14 female, and David, 7 male. David is on the autism spectrum. He is non-vocal and requires a fair bit of specialized care. Since his birth, Maria has had to take on a partial caring role for David for a variety of reasons. I make sure that this is not to an extent where she is taking care of him, however. Just enough so that she can help out while not losing out on her own life and experiences as a child. Unfortunately, this does not always work out as intended, and sometimes Maria does have to step up when I and my husband fail. But I always make sure to make it up to her and reward her for the time she helps us out like I would a normally paid caretaker. This summer, I enrolled Maria in a summer art program. She had been looking forward to it for months and was ecstatic on the first day. This enthusiasm quickly turned sour, and she stopped wanting to go after only the first 2 weeks. This was because Maria was essentially assigned to watch over a girl we'll call Helen. Helen is a girl who is also on the autism spectrum. I know Helen's mother personally, and when she learned that her daughter and mine were going to be in the same art classes over the summer, she asked the organizers personally to essentially assign Maria to be Helen's mandatory friend over the summer. Over the first 2 weeks, Maria was essentially burdened with Helen. She spent a good chunk of the class time helping Helen out with her own projects, instead of being able to work on her own. She also at one point had to help one of the teachers out when Helen began to have an anxiety attack and did not get to do any art the entire day. When I learned of this, I was livid. I contacted the organizers of the art program and went off, demanding my money back and threatening to report them for having a student, and a minor of that, responsible for the care of a special needs child. They let it slip to me that Helen's mother told them that I and her were close friends, which is not the case. I called Helen's mother up as well and went off, demanding to know where she got the nerve to ruin my child's own experience and treat her like a caretaker for her own child. She claimed that Ellen wanted to do the art program, but she was afraid that she would not be able to do it alone. That Maria had experience with special needs children and that she felt safe with her being next to Helen's side. She then yelled at me, called me a heartless a-hole and said that I should know where she was coming from. I got my money back Monday and I'm looking into private art tutoring options for Maria. When my husband learned what happened, he lost it. Said that I should be understanding of Helen's mother considering our own situation. So now I'm second-guessing myself. Edit, just a quick clarification. My husband is not mad at me for pulling Maria from the class or being mad about her being used as a caretaker. He agrees that was wrong and is not happy about it. What he got mad about was me calling Helen's mom and confronting her. His point of being understanding to her was not about Maria being a caretaker for Helen. It was about Helen's mom asking in the first place. He does not agree with the way the class handled it at all, and he supports me in taking this issue all the way to the top. What he is mad about is dropping Helen's mom in and fighting with her personally. So, for the question at hand, involving Helen, not the a-hole, you're right, your daughter shouldn't have to look after someone if she doesn't want to. But on that note, Maria does have to step up when I and my husband fail. Do better. Because I guarantee the biggest reason she's disappointed she couldn't do the art program is that she needed a break from parenting her brother and didn't get one. I get that you compensate her, but time is a finite resource she isn't going to get back. You're the a-hole. This reason alone is why I think Opie's the a-hole. Your 14-year-old child is not there to pick up the slack for your failed parenting. I highly doubt they're paying her as much as a trained caregiver would make to compensate for the 14-year-old's time. A reward is not hourly pay for caring for someone. I'm glad Opie stuck up for her child, but she's still an a-hole. Stop being cheap and hire a daycare service or caregiver to let your child have a childhood again. I don't think this is fair. It feels like Opie's daughter steps in possibly no more than any older sibling with a non-special needs younger sibling. People often ask their older children to help out without it being abuse.